Well, it appears that we have a strike that's ongoing between Air Canada and the flight attendants union. So the flight attendants union went on strike, from what I understand. It's for increase in wages because I don't know if you know about anything about the wages that are going on with flight attendants. They barely earn enough money to be able to get by. It's literal fucking poverty wages bullshit. Like, unironically. Like, I think one of them said they earn about like 37, 38 grand. They live in Vancouver. That is not enough money to be able to live in Vancouver. If you know anything, if you're a Canadian out there, you know, and you live in fucking Vancouver, you know about those fucking crazy fucking housing prices. But now a lot of other unions are now joining in. I think there was an order sent out by the prime minister called Section 107, and it's basically like the most vaguest of vague laws possible that can just be like interpreted in particular ways, where a lot of the government can either force arbitration between, say, a union and the corporation. That's exactly what they did with specifically the post office workers union when they went on strike for, I think it was last year, and they went on strike for quite a while. It was a couple, I think it was like 2 months they were on strike. It was about 2 months, I believe. They were on strike because, again, they were asking for higher wages because they also get paid like complete fucking shit. So cool, fantastic, great. Support your fucking local unions, obviously. Yeah, 2 months for the postal. Yeah, it is a very, very long time. That's correct, Boy Meets Smitty. Section 107 was forced as arbitration, and unfortunately, the union decided to fucking capitulate to that. So it's just like, oh, that's unfortunate that they decided to capitulate. And from what I understand, I don't remember what exactly resulted from that because they're obviously back to work. I don't remember if anything came out of that for the post office workers. I just don't remember because it's been a long time and I have a bad memory when it comes to stuff like this. And the same thing that they're now trying to do the same thing with the flight attendants union, where at this time the flight attendants union asked for arbitration with Air Canada, and Air Canada is just like, no. And they went to the government to say, like, can you force our workers to go back to work? And they decided to go with Section 107 yet again. So, whoa, crazy. When the company wants arbitration, the government has no problem with being a mediator for that. No, I know, not at all, for the benefit of the fucking company. But when it's the workers who want the fucking arbitration, get back to fucking work, you fucking lazy peasants. So, that's cool. That's great. Fantastic. Whoa. Who would have thought that the fucking banker in chief that we have would be really bad for fucking labor? Crazy. But I think a bunch of other unions are now joining in solidarity with the flight attendants union. I think like the machinists union in Toronto has joined with. CUPE has also fucking joined with them. A bunch of other fucking big unions are also joining with them. I think also the nurses union has also joined in solidarity because everyone's just like, yeah, this is some fucking bullshit. And obviously, this is a moment in particular for the fucking conservatives where they can incredulously take advantage of this and pretend to do populist fucking union shit, despite the fact that conservatives have constantly pushed for a bunch of different legislation that would curtail the power of unions. But what do we got here? So says it will challenge the order by Canada Industrial Relations Board with members remaining on strike. Because again, the flight attendants union were just like, no, fuck you. We're staying on strike. We're defying this fucking order. You can go fuck yourself. Because it's just fucking complete bullshit. So Air Canada says it has suspended flights to resume limited operation after the union representing the airline's flight attendants said Sunday it will defy a federal back-to-work order for binding arbitration to end the work stoppage. So again, the government is stepping in because Air Canada asked the government to have the government step in order to clamp down on the fucking on the fucking strike. By the way, this is literally the exact same thing that happened when the famous or infamous, however you want to look at it, teachers union strike happened in Ontario. There was a big teachers union strike. This was about 2018, 2018, I believe, where a bunch of teaching assistants went on strike because they were also having, it seems to be a common pattern, low wages. They were barely getting fucking paid enough to be able to get by, and so they went on strike through the fucking teachers union because they're all part of the fucking union. So they went on strike, and the provincial government, which would have been the Liberals at this time, forced them back to work. And as expected, the Liberals got fucking trounced by the Conservatives in the next fucking election in Ontario as a result. And guess what? Now we've been under the stewardship of the progressive Conservatives ever since. And people are wondering why the fucking province, Ontario, is a complete fucking shithole now. That's why. Crazy. Approximately 240 flights scheduled to operate beginning this afternoon have now been canceled. The airline sent a statement. Air Canada said it will resume flights as of Monday evening, but with more than 10,000 flight attendants remaining on strike, it is unclear how Air Canada proceeds to operate or plans to operate these flights. CBC News has reached out to the airline for clarification. Earlier, the Montreal-based airline... Air Canada is Montreal-based? I didn't know that. Interesting. It planned to resume flights starting Sunday evening, a day after the federal government issued a directive to end a cabin crew strike that caused the suspension of around 700 daily flights, stranding more than 100,000 passengers. But just hours later, the Canadian Union of Public Employees, so that's one of our biggest fucking unions in the country, I believe, said in a statement that members would remain on strike even after the Canada Industrial Relations Board, CIRB, ordered both parties back to work by 2 p.m. ET. So notice how it's the Industrial Relations Board and not the Labor Relations Board that is issuing the fucking order. It makes you think, doesn't it? I wonder why it's not the Labor Relations Board. By the way, I don't even think Mark Carney has a person at the fucking goddamn Labor Relations Board. Again, we got to do everything possible in order to benefit the bourgeois and the wealthy industrialists. But the workers, fuck them. Who cares? Of course, they're fucking union. You can go fuck yourselves. Invited Air Canada back to the table to negotiate a fair deal. We will be challenging this blatantly unconstitutional order that violates the Charter of Rights of 10,000 flight attendants, 70% of whom are women and 100% of whom are forced to do hours of unpaid work by their employer every time they come to work. Oh yeah, there has been testimony saying that they have to do so much bullshit that is out of their retinue that they do not get fucking paid for. It's just and you want them to do all this stuff and not get paid for that? Very, very cool. I don't think anyone's in the mood to go back to work. Lillian Speedy, Vice President of CUPE Local 4092, told CBC's News Network at a picket line outside Toronto Pearson International Airport on Sunday to legislate us back to work 12 hours after we started. I'm sorry, snowstorms have shut down Air Canada for longer than we were allowed to strike. Some passengers say they left for the airport in the early afternoon with their flight status showing as on time, only to arrive and find out that their trip had been canceled following the airline's mid-afternoon announcement. All Air Canada and Air Canada Rouge operations are affected, though flights by Air Canada Express operated by third-party airlines, Jazz and PAL, are not. The scab workers. Well, crazy. The airline says customers whose flights are canceled will be notified and are strongly advised not to go to the airport unless they have confirmed flights on other airlines. From what I understand, a bunch of them are basically blocking, I think, some of the arrival terminals, I believe. Wait, I think there's only one. I've not been to Pearson in a while. I've not been to Pearson in a long time. I think there's only one arrival terminal. Within Pearson. I think there's 2 departure, 1 arrival. I think. And, they're basically blocking that, preventing people from being able to go in to arrivals, which, based of them, make Air Canada come to the table and capitulate, because they should. So, that's cool. The airline says customers whose flights are canceled will be notified and are strongly advised not to go to the airport unless they have confirmed flights on other airlines. Keep in mind, Pearson is our largest international airport here in Canada. It is the biggest one. Very, very fucking difficult to basically tell people to not go there because it is quite large in comparison to every other airport that is, well, by most of the other major cities in Canada. No, Pearson is our biggest. Air Canada will offer those with canceled flights other options, including refund or credit for future travel. The carrier also said it will offer to rebook customers on other carriers, although capacity is currently limited due to peak summer travel season. Sure, man. Ottawa moved to intervene in the labor dispute on Saturday, less than 12 hours after the strike and lockout effect, with federal jobs minister Patty Hajdu, saying she was invoking Section 107 of the Labor Code to ask CIRB, again, here it is, Section 107, which is an incredibly vaguely sort of a vague law that basically can give the federal government more or less any ability to do what they want with particular fucking workers, because it's just like so fucking vague, to be quite honest, where it's just like, they can like basically justify anything in order to like crack down on fucking workers if they want. And again, very interesting that they're making the Industrial Relations Board do this instead of the Labor Relations Board, who would be more than likely able to be a better mediator on stuff like this, because they'd be able to represent the sort of labor dispute here. Interesting, isn't it? To send the two sides to binding arbitration and to order the airline and its flight attendants back to work in the meantime. CBC News reached out to Hajdu to ask how the federal government will respond to the union defying the back-to-work order, although Hajdu asked the CIRB to hand down the order. Her office directed inquiries to the board. I'm sure. Like many Canadians, the ministers represent and monitoring this situation closely. The Canada Industrial Relations Board is an independent tribunal. Please refer to them regarding your question, said a statement to CBC News from her press secretary on Sunday afternoon. Union has accused Hajdu of caving to Air Canada's demands. Crazy. The CIRB also ordered that the terms of the collective agreement between the union and the airline, which expired on March 31st, be extended until a new agreement is reached. Air Canada has become dependent on the federal government to solve its labor relations issues, according to Steve Tufts, an associate professor and labor geographer at York University in Toronto. Again, listen, Air Canada's got to cry to the fucking mods, be like, please use Section 107 in order to get these workers back to work. These unruly fucking peasants, they need to be put back to work at all costs. Yeah. With this incredibly vague law, part of the labor code, in order to get these people who are overworked, barely fucking paid, and get unpaid for a lot of the fucking duties that they have to do, in order to get them back to work, so the stupid fucking CEO of Air Canada can make way more fucking money. Again, I believe that he makes about 250 times in comparison to your average fucking flight attendant, or in terms of like pay. So that's pretty cool, as expected from these complete utter fucking pricks. He mentioned last year is a dispute between the airline and the pilots union. Air Canada asked the government to be ready to step in before the two sides reached a tentative agreement in September of 2024. Air Canada tried to get the government to intervene with pilots last year, Tufts told CBC News. Air Canada has to learn to not call mommy and daddy every time they reach an impasse at the bargaining table. They have to actually sit down and get a deal done with their workers. Couldn't have said it better myself there, Tufts. Air Canada had first asked Hajdu to order the parties to enter a binding arbitration process earlier in the week, but intervention was something she resisted until Saturday afternoon, when she said it had become clear both two sides were at an impasse. CUPE maintained its opposed arbitration, instead preferring to solve the disputes through bargaining. It said Hajdu's decision sets a terrible precedent. Can't really disagree with that. The Liberal government is rewarding Air Canada's refusal to negotiate fairly by giving them exactly what they wanted, the union wrote in a statement Saturday afternoon. Well, again, just like the fucking conservatives, the Liberal Party also is dog shit when it comes to fucking dealing with labor disputes because they, in reality, actually hate labor. Whoa, who would have thought? Now it's time for the conservatives to incredulously use this and be like, well, actually, we stand with the workers here. Very, very cool. Yeah, fascinating, fantastic. It's like, it's fucking stupid, bro. The two sides are set to return to the table this week. The union accused Air Canada of refusing the bargain in good faith due to the likelihood of the government stepping in and imposing arbitration. Which, seems to be happening. It has said its main sticking points revolve around wages. Damn, like every other single time this has happened. Like I said, with the teachers' unions strike that happened in Ontario a couple years ago. With the postal workers as well. Pilots is now... didn't know about the fucking pilots union strike, but that's also fucking happened. And eventually, I think there was also a strike, or they were thinking about doing a strike with the nurses union as well, because of a lot of the bullshit that was going on with specifically with Doug Ford basically fucking with a lot of their fucking, not union dues, but with a lot of their pensions in order to justify basically building some random bullshit. It's so fucking stupid. CUPE also launched a National Day of Action on Sunday with demonstrations outside Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, and Calgary airports. Based of them to call for these particular actions because, again, it's just basically the Liberal Party is deciding to side on with Air Canada in particular because, again, well, this is the exact same thing that has fucking happened constantly. It's seemingly I'm looking inside. Oh, the Liberal Party is siding with the fucking capitalists again. Shocked Pikachu face. I'm so surprised that this is happening. Whoa, crazy. I don't know. Is there really anything else to say besides the fact that, of course, similar to the conservatives, the liberals also despise labor. They want nothing to do with labor. They don't give a fuck about the rights of workers in order for them to be able to strike, and they just start taking the side of Air Canada in this particular dispute because, again, fuck labor, fuck the workers, go back to work in your fucking wagey-cagey job where you earn about, $38,000 a year in order to be able to fucking live in Vancouver, which is fucking insane. Don't think there's really much else to say besides you should support the flight attendants in their strike against Air Canada. And, well, fuck you, Mark Carney, for deciding to go ahead with forcing arbitration on the union. So, a quick addendum, I suppose, to the Canadian sort of flight attendants strike situation, for lack of a better term, I suppose. But there was an interview that was conducted by Air Canada's CEO, Michael Rousseau, joining Bloomberg's news network to discuss the strike itself. So, if for anyone who had any delusions that the only reason why the government is doing this is for the benefit of the corporation that is Air Canada is time for that myth to be fucking dispelled. You didn't make any provisions before the strike to ensure the passengers, or at least some of them, would get to where they're going. Well, we thought obviously the Section 107 would be enforced and that they wouldn't illegally avoid Section 107. So, whoa, why would you fucking say this? You're not supposed to say this out loud. You're supposed to be down on the low key when you say shit like this. You're just making it fucking blatant, oh yeah, we purposefully wanted to have the government on our side. We're not fucking totally demonic entities of the warp whatsoever. Yeah, no. We wanted our workers to fucking suffer under the conditions that we've put them under. It's just dog, why did you think this was a good idea for you to say? This is the stupidest fucking thing to be saying. But, it's clear and emblematic that, whoa, the government is just on the side of the fucking corporations against the fucking strike. Whoa, crazy. That was the whole point of it to begin with. Crazy, I know. But here's the actual video of it, right? Just admitted on TV, this was on fucking TV, that he had no plan except this secret backroom deal with Carney to bust the strike using Section 107. He and Carney assumed the workers would roll over. They assumed wrong. And it's not a terrible assumption to honestly make. Section 107 was what was used on the post office workers, and that worked, right? That worked. And it was also used, I think, on also the nursing workers as well. When they were threatening to strike, it was Section 107. They were first forced to go back to fucking work when they were threatening to strike. Because a while back, I think it was about a year ago, they were threatening to go on strike because in Ontario, due to conditions being as bad and pay being really, really bad for them. So they were threatening to fucking strike. And I should know. I know someone who's quite literally in the fucking nursing industry. Like, literally works at a fucking hospital that's not that far from where I live. It's crazy. But it's Section 107. Exact same fucking shit that was used there. Being used here. Crazy. Like, as I said already, why would you say this? You should not be saying this. This is one of the this is an inside thought that you should not let outside. But what do we got here?
As the strike happened.
But you didn't make any provisions before to ensure that passengers, or at least some of them, would get to where they're going?
Well, we thought, obviously, the Section 107 would be enforced and that they wouldn't illegally avoid the Section 107.
Right, so you made no provision because you didn't realize the union would do this.
They gave us no indication they would do this.
Right.
He just admits it. Just admits it. So I don't know. I guess it's good to see that the liberals are just against the workers as always. You know, whoa, it's a fucking uniparty. You know, where it's all about just completely fucking over the workers as expected from places like America, Canada. Listen, like if we want to talk about like differences between the conservatives and liberals, there are some. But when it comes to fucking over workers and the fucking economy, they could not be any more the fucking same. Like, to be quite honest. Mostly when it comes to fucking labor in particular. There's things that we could probably quibble about and fucking point to saying like, no, they're different in terms of this, and this, blah, 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 blah. Right? Like, obviously, we can do that whole, like, shebang, shebang. I have no doubt that is probably the case, right? Like, I guarantee you, probably Carney's housing policy is probably going to be better than whatever Pierre Poilievre's was fucking offering. Okay, like housing prices are starting to go down in Canada. They are. So that's great, fantastic, excellent. Some part of the fucking economy is improving. But when it comes to labor, those two motherfuckers are very, very fucking similar. Whoa, crazy. The liberals and conservatives love cracking down on labor like any other stupid fucking goddamn capitalist shitty fucking country. Crazy. Who would have thought that this would have happened? That the fucking CEO literally expected for Section 107 to be enforced on the fucking union to force them to go back to fucking work. Crazy. And they're deciding to be like, you know what? Fuck you. We're not backing down. You people can go fuck yourselves. Which is based of them. And personally, they should just not go back to work because fuck these motherfuckers. Like, fuck them. Like, they were just like, oh, we're just like, you should be, like, why are you going back to work? Like, come on. Because, again, like I said before, Section 107 was already, has been used to break up multiple strikes at this point. So, it's kind of being expected, generally speaking, that it's going to be used to break up a bunch of other striking unions and striking fucking workers. So I guess a bunch of CEOs have decided to get fucking lazy about it and just be like, oh, the government will just come in and bail us out. Fuck it, who cares? We don't need to negotiate ever with our workers. We can just keep paying them pennies on the dollar and fucking them over. And, well, they're not going to bitch and complain about it because, you know, we got the big government over ready to help us. Hey, corporations, I thought you guys hated big government, but you guys are totally okay whenever, like, big government is doing everything possible to fuck over the workers, but that's a little interesting, convenient. I thought you guys hated big government. That's a little interesting. Oh, it's almost as if, like, listen, as George Carlin himself said, it's a fucking big club, and your dumbass ain't in it. And this is some real, fucking, like, this is a big fucking club, and you ain't in it type shit. As expected, whoa, the fucking corporations and the government are hand in hand to try to fucking crush labor. Don't think there's really much else to say besides that.